Hi, everybody. Welcome to a Well Done Professional podcast. I am super excited today because I have a good friend of mine, Becky Bartoszek. Becky, easy for me to say, Becky is the president and CEO of the Fox Cities Chamber of Commerce. Welcome.
Well, thank you so much for having me here today,
Absolutely.
Sharon.
Well, you and I haven't connected for a while, so I'm anxious to hear what all is going on, obviously. And I have to tell you, I was looking at social media the other day, and it announced your 2-year anniversary, and I said, no way, 2 years already that has been? Obviously we did the search for your position, and you have just done amazing work. I'm very, very proud of you. So I guess I wanted to hear what the Fox Cities Chamber, what has been going on, and just give us a sense of what's going on with the Fox Cities as a whole.
Well, in general, at the Fox Cities Chamber, as you can imagine, we have been insanely busy with COVID. Really, what happened is, our organization is 138 years old, and it was created for moments like COVID, where the community really needed a central point that just provided support, waded through all of the misinformation and really gave a guiding North Star for people to go to and get information and just help weather the storm. So 2020, that was really our focus. Just save as many businesses as we could, save as many jobs as we could, and just help the community.
Aren't you glad that 2020 at least is over?
Oh, dear Lord,
yes. COVID's not over yet, but we can definitely, I think we're starting to see, I know for us, we're super busy, so we are definitely seeing light at the end of the tunnel. Yep. I don't think any of us want to ever have to repeat a year like that.
No.
And I'm sure that that's very true for you.
Absolutely. But there were some good things that came out of 2020. I think we all kind of were really thrown fast forward into new technologies and new ways to communicate. And hopefully we can continue those things and just improve overall.
Yeah. No doubt that there were definitely some positives. So speaking of positives, a group of us actually sat in on the economic luncheon that Elliot Eisenberg did. And I was pleasantly surprised. I thought he was very optimistic about our local economy. So I wanted to ask you, how do you think the Fox Cities is recovering now that we're out of 2020 and then going into 2021, 2022? How do you feel? You probably have as close a pulse. Obviously he's an economist, which, by the way, is super funny. I love him to death. But, how you have that pulse, obviously, of what's going on in our local business community. So how would you react to what he said, and would you agree?
I definitely would agree with him. Obviously, a lot of the information that he spoke to was from a study that we actually put out. So that was information that we gathered locally, and he compared it to the national and international trends. So, yeah, he absolutely is a character.
I love him. So great.
He's fun. So, to be honest, personally, I'm cautiously optimistic. Obviously, it's going to take years until we really understand the economic impact that COVID has had on our entire world, and nevertheless, the Fox Cities. I have a serious concern about small business right now. I have a serious concern about our hospitality industry. Right. Because until 2020, I don't think any of us realized how much our hospitality industry is tied to major events in the Fox Cities. It's the PAC that brings people in, the Timber Rattlers, the Oktoberfest, the Mile of Music. Those are the things, and as well as business. Right. Obviously, business is huge, and when all of that stopped, that really hurt those industries. And now when I drive around town and I go and I look at our small locally owned businesses, I'm seeing a lot of them are gone. And I think it's all of our jobs to do everything we can to support the businesses that are here, to make sure that in 6 months they're still here, right? And that the Fox Cities is a place that we love to live.
Well, and I think it's such a great point. I have really tried hard to patronize all the restaurants and because you do want, I would feel so bad if some of my favorite restaurants were gone just simply because we didn't do takeout, if you're not comfortable going in. But I have to say, I still like to go out to dinner, and I have to say, I think the Fox Cities has done a fabulous job of making the patrons feel safe. Everything's social distance. They're probably at max at 25% capacity. So, what I would say to that is I wouldn't tell people to be too nervous about going out. Even just simply if you wear a mask, and they're doing a great job on social distancing.
Oh, yeah.
Everything smells really, really clean, so they're over the top on the sanitizing and all of that. So
Absolutely agree.
yeah, so I feel good about that. So we were talking about obviously the big events. So a couple of our big events, the Chamber's big events, were also impacted. One being Oktoberfest, obviously, is
Yep.
just a huge economic driver to our community, and also Bazaar After Dark. I mean, those were big events that obviously got paused. So what do you think that looks like, Bazaar After Dark, Oktoberfest? What do you think that looks like now for 2021?
Well, we're planning now.
Okay.
So we are moving forward like it's going to happen. In probably early summer, we're going to get together with representatives from our local hospital networks, our public health officials, and really make a final decision with the board on if we can have these events. But big events like that, even Bazaar After Dark, which is much smaller than Oktoberfest, takes a long time to plan.
Mm-hmm.
It takes many, many hours. It takes a lot of volunteers. It really is, it's more work than people realize.
Right.
And you can't just decide at the last minute if you're going to make that happen. So as of right now, we are going to be having Bazaar After Dark in Neenah the last Wednesday of the month in July,
Okay.
so July 28th. And we are doing that on the commercial street, which is a large footprint for Bazaar After Dark. So our hope is we can more socially distance the people that will be there, and we'll take whatever precautions are necessary. Oktoberfest, that will be held the traditional day of Oktoberfest, which is the last Saturday of September. And we are, knock on wood, hopefully we'll be able to move forward and bring that to the community. But one thing that's really important that we really need the community to understand, and I can't make this point loud enough, whether you're Mile of Music or Oktoberfest or Bazaar After Dark or the PAC, a lot of the ultimate result is in the hands of our community. Because until we have more people going out and getting the immunizations when they're, or the vaccines when they're available, if we don't reach those herd immunity numbers, we're not going to be able to get the permits no matter what. So if we want those back in our community, we need everybody to get the vaccine when it's their turn.
Maybe we could set up a booth at Bazaar After Dark where we hand out vaccines. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I think we need to get them ahead of
Before.
time.
True. No, I agree, and it's I think it's optimistic that I'm starting to hear a lot more people have either received the vaccine or they have their card where they're ready to get it. So I'm excited about that. I'm in the next round, so I will be there when it's my time for sure. So I'm thinking about some of the key initiatives that the Chamber's been working on, and obviously I just rolled off the board after I think I was on there 9 or 10 years. I don't know. It seemed like a long time. But one of the initiatives that I really appreciated and thought was a really, really great initiative is the employee-friendly workplace. So talk a little bit about that, because I don't know that people still understand what that is.
Sure.
And how do, for businesses that are listening, how do they become involved in the employee-friendly workplace initiative?
The Employee Friendly Workplace Initiative rolled out maybe a year before everything happened with the pandemic, and it has more attention right now than probably any other program that we have, because right before COVID happened, Appleton on their website had that our current unemployment rate was 1.7%.
Right, I know.
Which is just crazy low. And today still, we're told that employers' number one concern is the lack of talent, and number two is COVID. So they are looking for ways that they can be a premier employer and really attract and retain top talent in our region. So the Employee Friendly Workplace Initiative is a survey that you'll find on the Fox Cities Chamber website, and it's a program where Jennifer Brown from our organization worked hand in hand with United Way, SHRM, a huge panel of really experts in the HR field. And they did research nationally, regionally, and locally to find best practices, to find out what employers are interested in offering, but more importantly, what employees are looking for, and what the entire package looks like. So on the survey, you're given so many points for different things that you offer. So it can be from anything from paid time off through pet insurance. You name it, there's all kinds of categories. And the more points that you accrue, it puts you into a higher level. Now, this is very, very aspirational. It is not easy to get to hit any of these areas, but that was the point. We want our employers to think out of the box. So the way that the process works, you go through the survey, and then one of our team members comes out and meets with you. Jennifer sits down with you and goes through all of the points that you've obtained, all of kind of the easy points that you could get that are additional ways that you might want to work with your team. And then we determine what your level ends up to be. And then you get a complete marketing package where you promote yourself as a premier employer in our region. And then we also promote you as a premier employer in our region. So from the chamber perspective, it's kind of twofold. Obviously, we want to have outstanding employers in our region, and we also want to make sure that we're marketing our region as being very employee friendly.
So has there been thought around, or maybe you've done this, around the COVID issue and policies, procedures, ability to work from home, to be remote, or even just workplace safety? Has any of that been thought through?
Yes, they actually did an update, I think it was maybe 2 months ago, and adjusted the points based on the current environment. It's kind of interesting, Sharon, because I did find out today, and I don't remember the source that it came from, but there was a survey that was released today of top areas in the country to live, to be a remote worker, and Appleton was ranked number 11 in the U.S.
Wow.
Yeah. So our employers are doing something right.
That's interesting. Well, and we were talking about that earlier, about this whole phenomenon on remote workers, and either people have a strong appetite for that or they absolutely can't make it work, and it doesn't seem like there's a lot in between. So it creates a kind of a whole new challenge for us, for employers that feel very strongly one way or the other. So
it's interesting because I have attended quite a few chamber national events where they're talking about what they're seeing at a national level, and I would love to hear your perspective on this. We're actually hearing that most employers will be coming back with a mix of in-person and in the office, or in remote and in the office.
Yeah, I think a hybrid model will absolutely probably prevail. Once the children are back in school, that's when we're going to start to see, I think, the biggest shift, because employers are still being flexible, because a lot of the kids are still not back in school, or they're back in school a couple days and then they're home a couple days. So there's still that.
Sure.
My concern isn't so much working from home or working in-house. My concern, if they are completely remote, is I'm starting to see higher levels of depression, and that lack of sociability is really becoming an issue. And when I talk to candidates that have been home since March of last year, it is evident that they really, really miss. I mean, you can only talk on a Teams call or on a Zoom call and get so much, and you don't have that water cooler, laughing, that piece of it to any extent. And that's my biggest concern is the sociability and that mental health of those folks that are home all the time. So I think perfect would be a hybrid model. I do think we're going to have employers that are going to say, listen, we need to be back in-house. We do better together. We work as a team. We need to be cohesive. And the reality is we just want to honor whatever it is the employers and the employees need. So, but the mental health piece is the piece probably I'm the most concerned about.
I would agree with you. I think the mental health piece is gigantic, but then we also need to think about, the education system and what's happening to these kids, and how much are they missing. I heard a statistic the other day that it's going to take us 70 years to make up what these kids have lost as far as their education and their socialization skills and everything else. So COVID's going to have a long-term effect.
Yeah, no doubt. I had Lisa Cruz here as my last guest, and she and I talked about that. And even not just the kids, women in the workplace as well, because a lot of women had to step back because they became the primary caretaker for the kids, and all those strides that they had made in their career kind of got put on pause. So, and again, it's not to say it's a male-female issue, but usually the woman was the one to raise her hand and say, okay, I'll be the one to stay home, or I'll work from home. And I agree with you. I think the long-term effects are we're just starting to see just a surface scratch of what it's going to be for the long term for a lot of different categories.
Yeah, I
so
agree.
So I know, again, I'm always watching the chamber initiatives. What are you working on? What's happening? And I see that Pulse is sort of bubbling up again and rejuvenating self, getting new life.
It is.
So for our listeners that don't know what Pulse is our young professionals group. So I think, is it 40 and under?
Yes.
Okay.
But so we don't check ID. So.
Well, good, because I like to go sometimes to some of those things, and I'm pretty sure I don't look anywhere near 40 or under, but it's all good.
Young at heart.
Yeah, young at heart. There you go. So, but I'm glad to see that it's coming alive again. So tell me about some of the things that you guys are doing with Pulse.
Yeah, it's a fantastic initiative, and realistically, we've got a new leader that's been brought in to really just spearhead this program. She's got great experience and a great background, and there's a lot of employers in the Fox Cities that have young professionals organizations, but that kind of ties them just to their organization. Where Pulse is an opportunity for those employer groups to come together, as well as provide a young professionals platform for people that don't get that through work. And it's a developmental group where they join committees and drive initiatives in the community. And when you really talk about what their mission is, it really ties back to they want to develop, inspire, and grow the Fox Cities community. One thing that we're going to be doing new this summer, a lot of our employers are telling us that they bring in these great interns, or a lot of them have been virtual for the past year and a half. And these people come here and they work, but they don't develop a network.
Right.
And they go home and they're lonely at night and they can't wait to get home. So through Pulse, our Young Professionals group, we are actually going to have a series where interns come in and join into these events so that they make friends, so that they fall in love with the Fox Cities the way the rest of us have.
Right.
And when that job offer comes, they are far more likely to come here if they know people and they're comfortable here and they can see the Fox Cities as their home.
Well, and that's why I was so excited to see that it was going to be rejuvenated, is that next tier of leadership within all the organizations that we work with. And there's no doubt that if someone finds a circle of friends and they have that comfortable group that they can share challenges, they can talk about initiatives they're working on, all of those things will retain them as well.
Yes.
So it's not just about getting them here, it's about keeping them here. And one of the things we always talk about is you have to show them how they can duplicate the life they have there here. Pulse really would help an intern or a young professional to do that, because they get to know other young professionals and they can have fun as well as learn. So it's great. I'm really glad. So I have to tell you, I'm really proud of you. I think you are doing a fabulous, fabulous job. So all the successes you've had in really, 2 years seems like a long time, but it's just really 2 years, and all the stuff you've done. What are you most proud of everything that's happened at the Chamber since you've been there?
I'm proud of the team. I'm proud of the new team that we have at the Chamber. I've worked in the Fox Cities for 20 years, and, we were able to bring in some of the top talent, some of the top professionals that I've worked with in this region in 20 years. And, we've been blessed by people that were going to retire who have said, you know what, I'm going to come work for this nonprofit and give back to the community before I leave the workforce. And there is a level of talent on that team that I don't think we've seen in many years, and I'm very, very proud to be part of that team.
That's awesome. So there's always great learning too, right? When you take on any new assignment, any new anything. One of my favorite things of any new president at the 100-day mark, they always say to them, what was your greatest learning in your first 100 days as president? So what was your greatest learning in your time as president of the Chamber?
Well, what was interesting to me is, I was a chamber member with a larger employer and a chamber member when I owned my own small business. And I really had no idea all of the different aspects of our community that the chamber touches. When people ask what we do at the chamber, it's really hard to put it into concise words, but the bottom line is, we promote employers and economic development, and we're a catalyst to improve the quality of life for the Fox Cities. So realistically, we're looking at everything from Oktoberfest, where we're helping provide funding for our nonprofits that make our community great, right through, a good example, the past 2 weeks, we worked with the other chambers across the state and the state chamber, WMC, to work on legislation where, our small businesses here in Wisconsin were actually going to be taxed on their payroll protection dollars. Yeah.
You got that fixed, right?
We've got it fixed.
Oh, good.
We got it fixed last week. So that was a huge obstacle that most people will never even know. But can you imagine if you got a tax bill on that payroll protection? And then the second thing that the legislation that was taken care of yesterday was protection for really frivolous COVID lawsuits. So for protection for our businesses there. So, there's a lot of work that's being done behind the scenes with the chamber that people never realize.
Right.
But it's very powerful, because if that work wasn't being done, the negative impact to our business community could just be crippling.
Yeah, we'd see a lot more small businesses go out of business.
It's true.
With that happening. So any big surprises, past or future that we should know about?
Big surprises, which one?
Oh, yeah, right.
Wouldn't be surprised if I told you what they
Yeah,
are.
that's true. That's true. Well, I just thought you could give us a little secret intel.
No, well, like I said, we are working on Bazaar After Dark. We are working on Oktoberfest.
That's exciting
So
to hear that you're working on that. And I'm really hopeful. Those are so much the fiber of, Bazaar After Dark is new, but it's still so fun and people really look forward to it. Oktoberfest, obviously, is just such a highly thought after, look forward to, can't wait event that it would be so great to have it again.
We're doing something fun too. We did just strike a partnership with WFRB, and every other Thursday we will be on with Lisa Malik spotlighting something interesting that's going on in the Fox Cities region. So we will be bringing on a different business or a different organization, whether it's the hospital or a small business, or we've asked Kimberly Barrett to come on and talk about the work of Imagine Fox Cities.
Right.
But really just to educate the community on just a snippet of what's happening here, and really inform the community a little bit more on things that they may not know any other way.
Well, to put in a little plug, we did just place the new president and CEO of United Way. He would be a great person to interview.
Yes, he would.
He's amazing. I love Peter Giannopoulos, and he's going to do fabulous work. So.
Yeah, I saw that. Great work, Sharon.
Yeah, he's going to be great. So we have a lot of young listeners that listen to this, and I always like to ask our community leaders for a piece of advice. You think about what it's like when we were first starting out, and wouldn't it be great to have leaders give us advice? So what advice would you give the young leaders in our community who are either just starting out or maybe are a member of Pulse?
Okay, it must be showing my age, because this topic has come up a number of times. I recently was asked to be the keynote speaker for the commencement speech at Fox Valley Tech. So obviously,
young leaders
thought a lot about that. And what it kept coming back to me was really three major points. The first was, you really need to have around you a diverse network that supports you. And, you need to find something that you're passionate about and just get involved. And it doesn't matter if it's coaching your kids' sporting team or focusing on your personal development. You need to get outside of your comfort zone and build a network. The second thing that really came to me when I was thinking about this is, no matter what your job is today, give it everything you've got, because people watch and they see that. And when you have a network, an extensive network that supports you, and you're showing that work ethic and that leadership, that network will open new doors for you.
Yeah, I completely agree. I tell young people all the time, even if you don't know how to do it, raise your hand, because people will notice that you are willing to try.
Yes.
So and that's, I've watched people who have grown so much in their career, And it's because they say, I'll give it a try. I don't know,
Yes.
but I'll learn and I'll try. And that's what employers want is you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be willing to try.
Yeah, I totally
Yeah.
agree.
So is there anything that we can do to help you at the chamber or anything that you'd like to share that I haven't asked you?
Well, clearly our community needs to come together to get on the other side of this. So really to help our community, some of the things that we need to be doing is get your vaccine when the time
Right.
comes, support your local businesses, and start thinking about getting back on those airplanes and doing that travel. We don't want to be losing any flights in or
Oh
out
my
of
gosh.
Appleton.
No, we don't. We just are finally getting some nice direct flights. We don't want those to go away.
Exactly.
So-
So support our community that way. That's
no,
huge.
that's great. And, we'll certainly do our part here at ERG to continue to support the community. You have been amazing. Thank you for doing this. I appreciate it. And I am very proud of the work that you have done.
Oh, thank you, Sharon.